Alors, why a relationship between philosophy and cinema? I think we can propose two hypotheses. First hypothesis, the relationship between philosophy and cinema is a necessity because there is, in fact, an opposition between philosophy and cinema, a contradiction. If cinema is composed of images, if cinema is a form of imaginary relationship to the world, cinema is exposed to fundamental critics from the point of view of philosophy, a very old critics, which is a suspicion concerning images. And the opposition, in some sense, to the potency of images in the name of concept, thinking, and rationality. After all, in Plato, we find a critique of cinema. Because the famous allegory of the cave is the representation, the most important representation in the history of philosophy of cinema, which did not exist, naturally. The philosophical critique of cinema has been made many centuries before the existence of cinema. It's the strength of philosophy, the potency of anticipation of philosophy. In my translation of the Republic of Plato, I have transformed the cave in contemporary cinema. It was an evidence. It was an evidence. It was the presence of images in the place of the real. And the humanity is in the cave, seeing some images, and in the conviction that these images are the unique reality. And philosophy is to organize the possibility to go out the cave, to escape the dictatorship of images. And it's very striking, because in some sense, it's certainly more true today than we are in the cave than in the time of Plato. Because we have now complexity of the world of images, which is far beyond what Plato can imagine. So the allegory of the cave is properly a contradiction between philosophy and cinema. And so we can, after all, have the hypothesis that, well, okay, there is a close relationship between cinema and philosophy, which is the relationship of aid. Philosophy is finally something which is against the potency of images, against cinema at the end. It's the first possibility. It's not mine. It's not mine. It's not mine for one fundamental reason, which is my answer to the first question. I think that we cannot reduce cinema to images. And so, finally, cinema is not the cave of Plato. It's obscurity. And it's the light of images. And so, there is something like an illusion. But this illusion, the illusion of the cinema, is not the negative function of images in the sense of Plato. Because for Plato, image is something which is a false reality. But cinema is not a false reality. Cinema is a new relationship to the real itself. We can demonstrate that. Cinema is composed of complex images, but this composition is not saying, I am the truth, I am the true real. No, cinema is an illusion which say that it is an illusion, naturally. And so it's completely different situation of the prisoners in the cave. We are in the conviction that images are the only form of the real. Cinema is, on the contrary, something like a didactic of images. So something which is saying that images exist not as a substitute to the real, but as something which says something new concerning the real itself, in the absence of the real, but as a new form of knowledge. So my hypothesis is that there is no strict contradiction between philosophy and cinema, but that on the contrary, today, cinema is in some sense a condition of philosophy. Alors I name condition of philosophy an activity, a form of creation, a form of thinking, which is in some sense the horizon of philosophic activity. So a condition is what is present in the world and which is really a sort of new possibility for the philosophical thinking. And in this direction, my position is that today we cannot do philosophy without any relationship to cinema. And we can say that from Bergson to me, if you accept this narcissistic consideration, from Bergson to me, we find a growing interest of the philosopher for the cinema with the books of Dولوز, the books of Ránsiier, the books of many contemporary philosophers concerning cinema. And this is because cinema, which is a component essential of our world, is also something new and something like a new lesson for the philosophical possibility.